The Ad-hoc committee is to investigate the non-remittance of the National Housing Fund and its utilization. And basically, the 1992 Act, which will be amended by the grace of God by the 10th House of Representatives, stipulates that every worker, be it civil, public worker, and even in the private sector, is to contribute 2.5% into the National Housing Fund. And this contribution cut across states and even the federal workers. And with report before the committee, Your Excellency, we are so happy to see that Enugu State has been remitting to the National Housing Fund. So we commend you. Over 40% of housing deficit in the country, if we don't step up to the need of housing by our workers and Nigerians, God forbid that tomorrow the Nigerian workers will now be in IDPs, and when they retire, they are now struggling to pay house rents. And with the kind of person that you are, and even with the testimonies that we have heard from our right honorable colleagues, you are someone, an entrepreneur, that you want to see people around you succeed.
We're going to get even more aggressive. Not just that we're going to continue to remit the 2.5% to the National Housing Funds, but we also want to be able to engage the Federal Mortgage Bank to see how we can build mass housing for our people. We believe that our workers, particularly upon retirement, should have access to houses. They should be able to retire and proudly move into their houses. And we now have allocated a large expanse of land where we would soon start the construction of mass housing. Our plan is to, between now and the next 1 year, to do at least 20,000 mass housing so that our workers will have access to houses upon retirement. So that continuous remittance will not cease. We're going to continue to do that. I'm glad you're here to also look at the utilization of the funds beyond the non-remittance. So it will be good to go to the various sites where these funds are being applied to see the various projects that are being carried out. The ultimate goal for us is to ensure that these workers have access to houses, and that we do everything as government to enable that.
Yeah, one thing you should know about housing fund is not mainly government staffs, is even the private sector staffs are part of it. Even people who are not working. Once you are remitting your 2.5%, you are entitled to it. The essence of this committee doing this job is because we want to reduce corruption. Yeah, because we see that one of the major reasons why there is corruption in civil service is because of fear of tomorrow. Yes, when somebody finishes 35 years of service and is not sure of where he can put his head, he will always want to secure himself. So that is why we think it's very, very necessary that we see this work start working. That is the major reason.
Basically, like I said earlier in the chamber, is that we're here to see the utilization of the funds because a lot of civil servants have been contributing since 1992, and at the same time, not just for civil servants, even the private sector, banks, insurance companies, and all sorts of, as long as you are a Nigerian worker and you earn a salary, you have to contribute 22.5% of what you are earning into the National Housing Fund. So basically the committee is to be able to see how we can breach this housing deficit we have in the country. 10th House of Representatives is committed to this very assignment, because in as much as we have discovered that a lot of workers have been contributing without knowing why their funds are being deducted. So this, even again as an awareness that, look, every Nigerian worker should know that 2.5% of his salary is being deducted and remitted to the National Housing Fund. And it's another area again. There are organizations that deduct and they don't remit. So we want to make sure that if you have deducted 2.5% of any Nigerian worker, you should be able to remit the same to the National Housing Fund to enable the Federal Mortgage Bank to provide houses for Nigerian workers. It's a recommendation that we'll all come up with at the end of the day, and that's why we are going round. So when we see the challenges, and definitely the House of Representatives, every house has a standing committee on housing. So that will be the task of the standing committee to ensure that if a task force will come in place, but at the same time, the Federal Mortgage Bank, it's bestowed with the sole responsibility to supervise and to ensure that the National Housing Fund is duly utilized from what is being remitted to them.